the AI race just got a whole lot crazier. Google just dropped two powerful tools that could completely change how developers build AI apps. And at the same time, a Chinese company has revealed something so advanced it can literally think and act on its own through hundreds of steps without any human help. Yeah, you heard that right. Hundreds of steps completely automated. Now in this video, we're going to talk about all of it. Now before we start, a small note. This isn't going to be one of those surface level AI update videos where you just hear what's new and move on. We will go a bit deeper. I will explain what's really happening behind the scenes, how these updates connect to the bigger AI trend, and how you can actually benefit from them in your own projects or work. So if you want to stay ahead in this ever-changing AI world, this video is going to be worth every second. Alright, let's dive in. And let's start with the first major update from Google, because this one is honestly a very practical update, especially for developers who work with private data or internal documents. So Google has just added something called the File Search Tool inside the Gemini API. Now what does that mean in simple words? Basically, it allows developers to make Gemini read and understand their own files like PDFs, Word docs, reports, or any custom notes, and then use that information while answering questions. Earlier, Gemini was great at giving general knowledge answers, but it couldn't access your company's internal files or data directly. But this new tool changes that completely. Here is how it actually works. When you upload your documents, the file search tool doesn't just dump them into the system, it processes them using something called a vector database. Now, don't worry if that sounds too technical. Think of it like this. The tool converts your file data into a kind of mathematical map. So when you ask Gemini a question, it doesn't have to read through every single word. It just jumps to the most relevant sections instantly. That's what makes it super fast and smart. And the best part is, this happens securely. Your data doesn't get mixed up with the general Gemini model. It stays in your private environment, which is a huge deal for businesses that are careful about data privacy. This means companies can finally start building real AI assistants that understand their own context, not just random internet facts. But while Google is improving how we interact with our own data, over in China, something wild is happening in AI reasoning. And trust me, this next one is going to blow your mind. Because Moonshot AI has released a new model called Kimi K2 thinking. And what makes it crazy is that it can plan and execute up to 300 steps on its own without you touching anything. Yeah, 300 steps completely automated. Let me explain what that actually means in simple language. So normally, when we use AI models like ChatGPT or Gemini, they can only handle a few steps of reasoning before getting stuck or needing feedback. For example, if you give them a long task like analyze my sales data, predict next month's revenue, and make a presentation about it, they will usually need your input after every few steps, like you telling them, okay, now make this chart or now summarize it. But Kimi K2 doesn't need that kind of hand-holding. It can take a big multi-step problem, break it down logically, plan the full process, and then just go step after step after step, finishing the whole task all by itself. Now here is something even more interesting. According to CNBC, training this model reportedly cost around $4.6 million. That's not small money. It shows how much computation and data they have thrown into this project. But the thing I like is that Moonshot AI doesn't keep it private. They actually released Kimi K2 under an open source license, specifically MIT. But they added a clever little twist. There is a small clause that says if your company makes over 20 million a month in revenue, or if you have more than 100 million active users and you use Kimi K2 in your product, you are required to display the Kimi K2 name clearly somewhere in your app or service. In short, big companies can still use it, but they must give visible credit to the model. Now, why is that such a smart move? Because a lot of Western companies often use open source AI models made by other groups, sometimes Chinese models, sometimes smaller startups, and repackage them inside their own systems without ever giving credit. This clause prevents that. It's a way for Moonshot AI to say, you can use our work, but you don't hide it. Acknowledge where it came from. And honestly, I think this could influence future AI ethics in open source communities. Because let's be real, training these massive models cost millions of dollars. So if a company builds up something that ends up powering billion-dollar platform, it's only fair that they get some recognition. Moonshot's move might inspire other developers to do the same, open up their models, but still ensure their name isn't erased from the ecosystem. So yeah, while Google is busy improving how we interact with our data, Moonshot AI just took a leap into a completely new territory, AI that can truly think and act independently. But Google is not staying quiet either. They're working on something equally powerful, a system that can literally perform an entire data science project from start to finish. Let's talk about that. Alright, Google's new DS Star system, a state-of-the-art versatile live data science agent. And honestly, the name says it all. This system doesn't just process data, it actually thinks, acts, and learns from its own actions. So what is DS Star exactly? Well, in simple terms, it's a multi-agent AI system, meaning instead of one single AI doing everything, it uses a team of specialized AIs or agents that work together. Each agent has a different skill. One might be good at cleaning raw data, another might handle model building, another might run tests or check the results for accuracy. Together, they form a complete pipeline that can take a massive dataset and turn it into a valuable insights without needing constant human supervision. The coolest part about this system is its reflection mechanism. This is what makes it feel intelligent. After performing a step, each AI agent reviews its own work and tries to improve that output if something doesn't look right. So instead of stopping when it hits an error, it actually learns from it, adjusts, and moves forward. That's a big shift from traditional AI systems that just throw an error message and quit. Now let's talk about why this is such a big deal. Traditionally, data science workflows take a lot of time and human effort. Cleaning data, testing models, debugging code, tuning hyperparameters, and you name it. But with DStar, that entire process can be automated end to end. That means analysts, researchers, and engineers can focus more on decision making and strategy rather than spending hours writing repetitive code. Imagine how valuable that could be in industries like finance, healthcare, or scientific research, where huge amounts of data need to be analyzed quickly and accurately. Here's a little tip if you're someone who works with data. Start learning prompt engineering for data-related tasks now, because tools like DStar are going to make their way into everyday workflows sooner than we think. Knowing how to communicate effectively with these AI systems, like how to describe your goals, define constraints, and check the outputs, will give you a massive advantage when these systems become mainstream. And if you think about it, DStar perfectly fits into the broader trend we have been talking about. AI is no longer just giving answers, it actually doing the work. First, we saw Gemini's File Search Tool, which lets AI understand your data. Then we saw Moonshot's Kimi K2 model, which can think and plan complex actions on its own. And now DStar takes that one step further. It can execute and verify entire workflows independently. That's the direction AI is heading in, from being a smart assistant to becoming a fully capable teammate. By the way, if you missed my previous breakdown on Google's ADK GO release, that's the tool developers are using to build and deploy AI models way faster. I really recommend watching that next. It will help you understand how all these updates connect together. Because ADK GO is basically the foundation that's powering this new wave of Gemini and data science tools. You can find that video on my channel, or I have dropped the link in the description below. Trust me, if you watch that one after this, everything about Google's AI roadmap will make perfect sense. And here is something I really want you to take away from this. Don't just use AI tools. Understand how they are evolving. Because if you understand why these tools are improving and how they are changing, you will always stay one step ahead. Everyone can use ChatGPT or Gemini, but only a few people truly understand how to leverage them. And that's what makes the difference between someone who is just using AI and someone who is leading with AI. So if you're serious about keeping up, here is my tip. Stay curious. Whenever a new update drops, don't just scroll past it. Read what changed, test it out, and try to connect the dots. Ask yourself, how could this be useful in my work, my project, my business? Because that's how you stay ahead of the curve. And by the way, if you enjoy staying up to date with these kinds of breakdowns, where we go beyond just the headlines and actually understand what's happening in the AI world, make sure you hit the subscribe. I cover these AI model and tool updates every single week, so you never miss what's really changing. Because the truth is, AI isn't slowing down, it's speeding up. And the more you understand it today, the more powerful you will become tomorrow.